Goodness gracious, grey balls of fuck all. If you're looking for a demonstration on overcompensation for feeling old and shriveled and maybe not as powerful as you used to be once upon a time, I suggest you put on a pay-per-view and you call it Great Balls of Fire. Now, I've made comment on this before, but I hope Vince is just checking off things on his bucket list, before he kicks the bucket, because I've absolutely no idea why anybody would assume that this is going to be relevant or it's going to connect with people, apart from yourself. Because, you're making TV for just you. What a nice man you are. Well, my punishment for saying this is the fact that I get a 30-second advert on the network on a paid account. Fuck right off. What's the point of paying if I don't get any special privileges? You offer the network to people for free if they have a different email address from the last month, so where's my incentive to pay you? I may as well just keep making up a different email address and getting that shit for free. Oh, why won't it stop? It's just, we're in 2017 and I know I'm not the most modern person, but it's just so painful. The fans aren't cheering like fuck at the opening to shows. Possibly got something to do with no fireworks. Maybe it's something to do with the fact that the theme song's played by a bloody kiddie fiddler, one that likes incest at that. And just before the show actually starts, we're reminded that we're watching this in Boss Vision. They do make it look like they're referring to Sasha Banks, but, Vince is just making TV for himself, as I've just said. Bollocks to the rest of us, let him enjoy his thing. Now, the first match in is Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt, and myself included, but no one seemed to care in the crowd. Nobody even knew why they were fighting. I don't think they know why they're fighting anymore. I don't want to shit on either guy. It was a great match, but I just wasn't invested. I was obviously pleased that Bray got to go over, even though he used heel tactics. Yeah, I know he's a heel and he should use this, but it doesn't make him look strong overall. He has looked very weak, and I would like to see him as a threat to more than just sneaky tactics. He claims to be a god, so I assume there's some power behind him. I'm guessing Seth's also going to find himself no closer to connecting with the crowd unless they do something different. One match in and we go on to adverts for Battleground, and we're reminded again that WWE really enjoy being bullies, hypocrites, heroes. That's the one. Yeah, heroes. Honest. I know that it's part of Enzo's character, well, the majority of Enzo's character, but he just won't shut the fuck up on his way down to the ring before the match. Most of the time, yeah, he's got a gob on him, let him gob off. This is a pretty important match in his life, fighting an old friend, his old lover, so I prefer him to adopt a bit more of a serious tone before this. The match went as expected. Big Kaz just knocked the shit out of him for a few minutes, toyed around with him, and hit him with a big boot for the win. I would have actually liked to see the poetic justice in him going for the old finishing move that they used to do, just put him on the top turnbuckle, throw him up and slam him down in the middle of the ring. We see a teaser for the Curt Angle 24 documentary on the WWE Network, and fucking hell, Dixie Carter on a WWE product. I'm actually possibly quite convinced that Vince McMahon is dying. That's a face I never expected to see. Well, I say a face, she actually looks like a sad nutsack with makeup on, but you get the picture. We move on to an absolutely fantastic match between the Hardy Boys and Sheamus and Cesaro, where after Sheamus bro kicks Matt straight off the bell, and then they double team White Noise Jeff, they just leave the Hardys chasing for the majority of the match, which made it a little bit more interesting because we've all been conditioned to the last 5 or 10 minutes of an Iron Man match to be the points we need to pay attention to. All 4 lads did a real good job of keeping me invested for the entirety of the match. It was very hard hitting in parts. I've mentioned before that I prefer the Hardys not to kill themselves every match, but their bodies and their careers for them to do what they want to do. It just adds to the number of times I cringe while I'm watching them. Matt hit Sheamus with a twist of fate from the top, and Sheamus looked like he landed mostly on his head. And then I didn't see what did it, but Matt ended up with a giant gash above his eye, which the referee just shrugged off, realising there was 2 minutes left and there was absolutely fuck all they could do about it, so they just ran through the last frantic minute with Matt covered in blood. Jeff thought he'd won, but Cesaro sneaked in for a pin and then he ran around the ring to avoid another loss. Jeff managed to get things under control, but he hit the twist of fate a little too late and didn't have enough time for the ref to count the full 3 count. If they continue this, that's fine. If they're done and the Hardys are broken, that's fine as well. Obviously, we're all looking forward to when that happens. But this match itself is one of the reasons why the pay-per-view is worth at least a watch, despite its shit name. Even though we're on Raw, we get Xavier Woods plugging Rocket League, who are sponsoring the show. But fair play to him. He got a nice little sneaky mention of his YouTube channel, Up Up Down Down, in there. So everyone's a winner. Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks had a great match too. Despite all the diva shite that you got on Raw and SmackDown to an extent, I know they can't be held directly accountable for that, but just the divas, women's image in general, the lasses did put in a great contribution to the show. They had a shitty little ending with Alexa just staying on the outside so she didn't get counted out, which was almost rectified by Sasha dragging Alexa down to the announcer's table, jumping off it with the double knees. They're obviously going to extend this feud a little longer, so it's fine by me. Another promo for Battleground now, just in case you forgot. And then we're shown highlights from the pre-show, and it's a shame the cruiserweights weren't on the pre-show because I actually wanted to watch this and I will go back and watch it later, but we're just shown that Akira Tozawa lost from what looked like a stupid spot involving a ball joke. I'm sure Vince and Kevin were rubbing their hands together giggling, and then Tozawa pleads with Titus O'Neil to sort the problem out and to get him a rematch. Hopefully this will go on to Raw, but no, he'll probably lead further onto 205 Live, which I won't watch. We're then blessed with a 9,999th confrontation between Dean Ambrose and The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship, which I'm not going to spend too much on. The Miz and The Miztourage did a fantastic job of keeping Dean Ambrose distracted, everyone played the part, The Miz walked away with the belt. Enough said. We get another advert for the WWE Network, even though we're watching this on the WWE Network, so why bother advertising? My head spins in nonsensical logic once again. Thank you, Vince. And now, yep, this ambulance match. I don't like ambulance matches in general. It's just one of those horrible contraptions. But Strowman versus Roman was pretty much Superman versus the Hulk, but in Vince McMahon's head. It was entertaining, it was very enjoyable, it was fun, it was just them two throwing each other into everything. Roman was swinging like fuck with a steel chair at Strowman during one point, and Strowman just put his arms up and guarded it. He was absorbing chair shots, grabbed the chair off him, screamed at him, told him to hit him, you son of a bitch. And Strowman's just been shining throughout this whole thing. Whether or not you can give Roman Reigns credit for that is another story, but both of them did work really hard in this match, and the crowd were well into it. The finish saw Roman go for a spear, but Braun moved out of the way and Roman just fell into the back of the ambulance. And then Roman spits his dummy out. He chucks Braun in the back and decides to ram it in reverse and plow it into a truck backwards. He's obviously immune from getting whiplash himself and he's just hoping Braun took as much damage as possible. After that, we quickly go to an impromptu match between Heath, Slater and Curt Hawkins, and then just as both lads are ready, the cameras go and cut to the back again, and I was hoping some kind of story was coming from this, that even though they'd only been chucked together last minute, they might have put on a decent show and they might have been given something better on Raw, but no, they're just going to be publicly shat on. Well done WWE, well fucking done. So we go back to the scene of the wreckage, and they use the jaws of life. I was screaming that somebody had lost the key because the door looked intact to me and just nobody had tried to use a key. Eventually they manage to get the door open and a bloody and battered Braun Strowman crawls out and tells everyone that's trying to help him to piss off and that'll be okay. He just wants to be left alone. That was great. I can't see why I should cheer for Roman Reigns now he's just tried to murder somebody, and I don't see why I should boo Braun Strowman for being as brave and resilient as he is. I'm hoping they continue on with the direction they're going, but I'm guessing we're just going to forget about this tomorrow, and Vince thinks that Roman should just come off looking cool like this, because Vince McMahon's justified murder before, well, hypothetical murder, when talking about somebody that used to knock him about when he was a child, but they died before he had a chance to kill him himself, so we all know that Vince lives vicariously through Roman Reigns, therefore Roman Reigns isn't doing anything bad because Vince justifies it in his head, and this is why Roman Reigns is going to stay in the position that he's in at the moment. Never going to turn heel, but he's going to do cockhead things. And we're still going to meant to cheer for him because Vince thinks we should be cheering for him and all of his decisions. Moving on to the main event, it was fantastic. It was a little short for my liking. I would have liked it to have gone on a little bit longer. I didn't expect Joe to get caught with an F5 that soon, but he was relentless with getting the coquina clutch on him. Brock countered the majority of the attempts with a German suplex or three, and then eventually Joe let his guard down. F5, done. Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm a little sad because I expected WWE were actually going to do something with this, and I was hoping that they wanted the title on television every week, but it got a lot of people to watch a pay-per-view that was horribly named, and it did make Joe look tougher than he looked before he went into the match. So we're not at a complete loss. All in all, it wasn't a bad show, but it wasn't the best. There are a couple of things that we will remember for a while, but nothing long-standing. Unless, of course, I was right in assuming the Vince McMahon is just making this as an aid for him to masturbate himself into a coffin, taking all the Viagra, the uppers, the downers, the coke, the speed, the steroids, just anything he can find, looping his shriveled little chipolata up one last time, and then beating it so vigorously his great balls of fire and his heart both explode, and this just makes the world a much better place. Fingers crossed. And that's enough out of me for the time being. If you'd like to ask me questions or leave me abuse, I can be found on Twitter @BluntDamage. If you'd like to comment on the video, you can follow the link in the description to the Botchamania site and do so there. And while you're on the site, you can check out 10 quality years of Botchamania, obviously, the entire backlog of my Raw rant, going all the way back to my written work, /walls of text, Vinny's midweek wrestling write-ups, and a shit ton more great stuff on the site to keep you busy. And last but not least, if you like my theme music, the band are The Colour Fire, and they can be found at www.thecolourfire.com, and their digital store links can be found in my description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.